Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Bugscast podcast here on the Ard Buddies YouTube channel. Myself, Steuben, this time joined by Keebs and an actual log. And our special guest this week is none other than the one and only Bean Soldier. What's up? Welcome in, welcome in.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just took down the latest premiere with frickin' Blizz.
That's actually crazy.
Like...
I'm sorry.
I don't mind. I mean, you met half of like my local scene or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have Blizz, and now like I'm sure I'm away this weekend, but
okay.
I'm sure the store will be like half the room will be Blizz players.
Oh my gosh, it ruined the format all over again. Ruined Dallas, now I ruined the rest of Firestorm.
No. I mean, so ultimately we'll just dive right into that. Why did you pick Blizz for this event? And is there anything that you would have considered playing in its place?
Yeah, so I played Blizz because unfortunately I thought it was a phenomenal meta call. It's a deck that, because of all the brand new Firestorm cards and like the new toys that everybody gets to play with, that no one would be prepared for. I think we saw like in the Moonrise meta that everybody had at least 6 cards in their side deck to deal with it in games 2 and 3. Now it was like nowhere to be seen. And because of that, it just kind of got to steamroll. And like the only things that you really got to worry about was like a turn 1 like Avoid, which the deck doesn't particularly care about, which is why I also played it. And then also Kinleo, which... Monsoon of Eurus in the side deck was for any fire matchup. So people also aren't on Argo that much anymore, which was also Blizz's like number 1 hate card, was that it couldn't attack into like any Argo deck in the format in Moonrise as well. So with all of those, it was like a perfect storm for Blizz to have a good showing, specifically at this event, and probably not at all in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense, personally.
Being able to...
It's kind of like how always the first and last tournaments usually are the meta calls, where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to play the one deck that was popular for the one tournament and no one else plays, and then I'm going to play it again, and then no one's suspecting it. That's usually how it goes. Yeah.
Other from Blizz, I was going to take Bears. I don't have the Bear deck 100% solidified. I'm like between 7 or 8 different bear lists at the moment, but I'll probably be playing Bears for the rest of the format. So I am a firm believer that truly is the best deck, and it's horrifying. I'm waiting for someone to also find the Bear deck.
Yeah, I played against Bears at my local. Like turn 2, my opponent had double Ursical on the field. We got Hibernation, Den rolling, and then at the end of it, they were down to 5 spirits, and I just Earthquaked, and that was like my only thing. But it was scary, like just having that 2-card combo with Ursical just to search one of them, like one of the either Den or Hibernation. It's crazy what that deck can do now.
Oh yeah. Majursa is like the craziest custom card that Bears could have ever asked for. That with Hibernation.
Yeah, looking at the top 32, there was just one Bears list, if I'm not mistaken, that made it that far up. Pokejoshinator was the only Bears deck that I saw that far up ahead. I don't know if I'm missing something somewhere else, but I think that's the only one. And have you taken a look at their list at all?
I think I have. I just can't remember exactly what their list was.
They had 2 A-bombs. They were playing 2 scouts, 3 seer, 3 sickle, 1 den, 1 Majursa, 3 don't poke, 3 hibernation, and then it looked like Necruff, Eddie, and Astrabbit to line out the back end.
No, I do remember their list then. Their list is getting there. There is a very specific engine that is missing from that deck for it to be like over the top.
Okay.
So, but I'm not going to leak the goo. But
fair enough.
The one thing I will say to get people a little bit closer on their bear ratios: play 3 Ursier, 3 Ursical, 1 Abomin Ursa.
Write that down.
Only one.
Yeah, write that down. Noted.
We'll see how long it takes for someone to crack it if it's not like you playing it in the next major. So it's Hard to say. I mean, the meta could go ultimately anywhere. It seemed super wide. And, I mean, now, you know, the surprise of Blizz is locked up and people will probably hate side forward again.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Divine Blessing back in side deck.
Funnily enough, like, Divine Blessing does not do anything to Blizz anymore.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, with
I don't know
Wonder
what
Eyes.
we're siding. Like, so, I'm sure we'll talk about, like, tech cards for Firestorm and whatnot. But Monsoon is, like, the craziest custom card for Blizz of all time. Because every single card that you could side deck to beat, like, the wide Blizz board, Monsoon deals with. So there really isn't a card besides, like, Hard Drying Earthquake or Laurels to out these really big bodies anymore.
And, like, Monsoon's kind of hilarious because, like, now anything could ascend ultimately if you enchant that wind. Like,
Yep.
surprise, Blizz! So, I mean, no, Monsoon is insane. I mean, I've really loved looking at all the different decks that had it in there. Like, Trish's list, Swole's list was also fantastic, too, with the Monsoon, with the Windgens, and all that. With the Champ Galaxy, I think, is just, like, the best card in the game now, by far.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like to think it's the better Eddie. I've had a lot of people, like, disagree with that statement. People are like, oh, I like Eddie, though. Eddie's cool. It's a 2/5. If it lives, it's a 5 defender that you can swap anytime to just swap the entire board. That card is so good.
I mean, the card just doesn't lose because it also swaps your opponent's like stats as well. So it's like it doesn't matter what your stats are. I'm going to beat over you, and I'm going to play around every single counter room that you have because I'm water and because I'm a whale. And so it's just like, what do you do against this dumb card? Like it's kind of crazy that they printed better Galaxy.
I mean, like, you have to Gorgons it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what else can resolve that? Like, oh boy, dense fog doesn't matter. It's already received it. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really funny that, like, Champion Whale made Tsunami better in a way. Because, like, one of the only ways to beat Eddie before was, like, a PTA or something, like, to beat the rabbits. And, like, Galaxy always cracks rabbits. But Galaxy now, in any aggressive board state, like, you just Tsunami, put your big statted Elestral to defense, and now the whale can't beat it. So, like, Tsunami seems to be, like, the only counter to a water card that there is. It's really strange.
the mind games that it kind of creates too is a huge mental part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to get back on the topic of Blizz. So recently we did have the limit of the dreaded Rise from the Ashes. I want to know what was the changes you wanted to do, like replacing those like two other Rises. I know Blizz has to run Rise. That it's a given. But like, what were the cards you swapped out for the other two that are now sent off to Tartarus?
Yeah. So the Rise hit, obviously very warranted for Blizzstrix and all of Blizzstrix's sins. The thing that was missing then from Blizz was a consistent way to get big bodies, and funnily enough, Broomalinx fixes all of those problems. That is like the most custom card that Blizzstrix could have, and any Frost deck could have asked for, was making sure that every Frost was a 5. Because before this, Frost didn't have a single naturally 5-statted Elestral, and Mountains make sure that that happens. Filling in those Rise slots with Mountains of Boreas, which I was already citing before in Moonrise, for, funnily enough, like the Lunar Aggro matchup, because they couldn't deal with anything that large. Now we get to just main deck that, and it's also searchable, and Blizz gets another starter, whereas Rise would just be like another extender, is really important for that deck to have, and puts it well over the top that you don't even need Blizz anymore. So, like, I think I only hit Blizz a few times in the tournament. I know I hit it in finals, but, like, it wasn't very consequential. I could have not hit it, and it would have had the same effect. And I think I hit it, like, a couple times in Swiss. This is no longer like a Blizz turbo deck like it used to be, and just big body swarm is pretty much the philosophy of how the deck is played with the new Broomalinx stuff. which is also why you'll see like Blizz is at 2 in the deck, because it's not as important for you to see the combination of Rise and Blizz anymore.
It feels like Moralith like might have been like the backbone of the deck now too.
Oh yeah.
And that plus the Boreas is just like, all right, here's this 8 attacker. Have a nice day.
Well, it's crazy now too, because like before you'd hate to draw Asprow. Now I want to draw it. I want to see that Ascension. I want to establish that 9/6 body with Boreas. Like, what are you doing to a 9/6?
Scoop in the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like you can expend and then like, oh cool, I hit 2 Cedar Soars. Here's these, and then oh, I accidentally hit one of the Blizz. Oh, I might as well ascend.
Yeah, or like, oops, now my Cedars are 6/8s. They beat over your Rabbits. Like a 4/6 Cedar Soar was fine before it was just a defensive body. Now all your Cedars are very offensive threats.
Oh yeah. Now, what did you ultimately have in your side deck? Because that I can't find that for whatever reason.
I believe off the top of my head it was 3 poison tipped arrow
In the monsoons.
Yeah, in the monsoons. PTA was also just another counter to turn 1 Wear Pup if they're going second, because that's just another way of guaranteeing that like Void doesn't hit the board super early to deny the full moon stuff. You could also side Monsoon for that to stop the Ascension as well. Resting just for more removal, pairing along with the Cryoblasts. Funnily enough, I didn't side Cryoblast in once. Didn't need the card.
It doesn't
so
seem like it's very impactful now.
It's not. The only deck that it's really good against is Fire Nexus, or like any of like the Fire Artifact decks, specifically to deal with Kinleo or Volcaries if you suspect like Argo. But like if you're suspecting Argo, you can also just Monsoon the artifacts that they equip. So I don't know. It's a little suspect. I don't know what else I would put in that slot either, though. So it's probably still fine. And then the second Boreas for Spiders and any other deck that is also running a Stadium to counter yours.
Okay.
So back on the topic of Cryoblast, I think we talked a little bit with Hunter Surge about it. It's the idea of putting Like a Void players in that 50-50. Do you think that's relevant in this of just dropping Cryoblast during main phase, or it pretty much forcing them to do it during draw step?
Are you talking about like the Wear Pup stuff?
Yeah, like Cryoblasting a Wear Pup just to prevent them from ascending. And Hunter Surge was basically talking about it puts Like a Void players in that 50-50 mindset of when should I just rip the full moon, either in my opponent's draw step or do it during like attack or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very much like up in the air as to what you're supposed to do with firing the full moon in the draw step or not. I'm personally a fan of firing it in draw. I know there are a lot of other players that like to hold it, and I think that there's good reason for that. Sorlet is everywhere as well. So if you fire it in draw step, then you no longer get to play around Sorlet very well at all. Whereas if you held it, you're fine. So it really depends on like what 50-50 you're trying to play around, and what you've seen game 1. I think game 1, draw phase, rip it, don't risk anything. Games 2 and 3 are a little bit more nuanced for that, which is why I don't think like Cryoblast for Wear Pup is a very solid option, just because like they see you're on a Frost deck, they're just gonna immediately make sure that they fire that full moon in the draw phase anyway. You're never gonna get the chance.
Yeah, they just got to be pretty proactive about it.
Yeah.
So looking at the rest of the deck analysis image they posted, which is like a first time, I want to say they made like, and it feels like a Pokemon like regional stream where it's like either these are the top percentage decks, and the way they did it instead of it being a pie chart where it's a little bit more easily adjustable for the eyes at least to take in. We see that Chrysor was the most represented deck, which didn't really convert too well, but it did at the same time, which is so kind of weird to get to. And then Nixamera, Spiders, Lunar Aggro, Bears, and Hermes, bringing up those like other slots. But then it's just like other decks are 52% of the metagame. So it's just like, I feel like because of how fluid deck construction ultimately is in the game, putting like titles and labels on archetypes and putting percentages up is kind of like against the grain of how things actually are. Does that make any sense?
Potentially. I mean, maybe I need a little bit more elaboration on what you're saying.
Most decks are generically good stuff piles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we saw like some decks have this pile, and this pile all in the same in the same deck. Like we have the Chrysors and the Lunar Aggro stuff with the Werepups and everything, and we'll just say Winjin or whatever. Those are all in one deck.
Yeah.
But then, how do they calculate this data to where like they're saying that Chrysor was the most represented archetype?
I think it's really difficult. I think not to get off of like Elestrals topics too much, but Yu-Gi-Oh! It's really easy to define specific strategies because they are so archetype based. Elestrals, with it being so free flowing and a bunch of different Elestrals getting plays in the same deck, especially with like good stuff piles, it's really hard to identify 100% factually what a deck is. Because I think a lot of interpretations are very subjective. I know at the end of Moonrise, I made like a little graphic for like my friends that all play Elestrals together, and we had very, very different interpretations as to what that graph was supposed to be because of lunar aggro. What is lunar aggro? There was like the Earth version, the Fire version, the Nabi version, the Pharaohgeist version. Like you can go on and on and on and on and on, and you can see that even too with like the Sorlet stuff. Because there's so many versions of the Chrysor deck. Like, I wouldn't consider Trish's deck in top 8 to be a Chrysor deck, but it does play the Sorlet Chrysor engine. But it plays Vis, it plays Lyca Void, it plays Rabbit, it plays Whale. Like, it plays every color under the rainbow, pretty much. So, I'm curious to see, like, what their justifications are for what qualifies as what deck. I think watching and like going through all of the lists that were played in the tournament, I think it was, if your deck was leaning more towards the wind side, it probably was labeled as a Chrysor deck. Even if it was like I know there was like a Tornadian Chrysor deck that Swalax took. That would probably get put under the Chrysor deck.
And then
or
the
if there was
Pantera,
Pantera. I was just about to say that too.
Yep.
I think that those would all still probably get put under the Chrysor deck just because it's easier to label it as that. Plus, it's also the new cards. So, like, let's make sure that, like, oh, these new cards are being shown. Let's just call it the Chrysor deck.
Yeah, I feel like for new players, the way they talk about, like, deck archetypes and percentages is just, like, overwhelmingly confusing. Because it's, like, slightly misleading at the same time, too. Like, you mentioned, like, where Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, okay, they're playing Sky Striker. It's clearly a Sky Striker deck. But here it's just like, okay, well, it's got all these bits and pieces, but it's not really any of these decks. It's just a deck. Yeah, and I feel like putting new players in the direction of like, oh, these are great lists that you can copy and try. Well, what do I call this? What is this? Where do I find like a guide or a how-to on this specific strategy? Well, the thing is, you don't.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I still don't even know what to call half of these decks. Like, there isn't a good descriptor for these other than tempo, control, and aggro. Yeah, and those aren't great descriptors either.
No, they're just like play styles, effectively, of like what the deck can do. And even then, that's putting it in a box. I don't know. I know it went deep little random tangent, but I felt like with them finally changing the way they do the graphic, it was something that I wanted to talk about. Because
I do appreciate that graphic, though. Like,
yeah,
it's cool to see.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
They've been stepping up the production of each stream little by little by little.
It's so good. It's so good.
The only thing we need to do now is just get better bit rates on the webcams.
Please.
Which is out of control.
Better angles as well. Yeah, but
that's
on
just
that
the nature
topic,
of the beast.
Yeah, on that topic about that graphic, though, I think it'd be fun to see if they did what Pokemon did and have, like, here's some of, like, the lower percentage ones. Because, like, how they always have, like, here's our, like, big hitters. Like, here's the 2 million Dragapult players going down a line. But it's like, this person brought, like, Joltik box or something. Like, something cool like that. Just to see, like, the smaller percentage. Like, I know it kind of very crowded on that pie chart of, like, here's the 3% and Titan players. Here's the 3% Voltempest players or something like that. But just having something that's like a little bit close to that 5% and that isn't as cluttered, that it would be cool to see that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I mean, now we're also getting like the cards represented and the Elestrals represented as well on graphics similar to that. But it's just like, it's the same culprits. Even new set, okay, cool, let's add new Galaxy and Like a Void and new Vis. Other than that, it's the same culprits that are still running the game. So like, the design space mentality of how they thought Firestorm was going to operate did not go in that direction whatsoever.
I think a really funny statistic that I saw was the difference in percentage between old Werepup and new Like a Void. I thought that they would be like the same, and they're like 20% off.
42 and 26, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, 16% people played old Like a Void then. So I thought that was a really interesting stat.
There were a lot of like old Lunar Aggro style decks, like still rocking Eddie and not playing Champ Galaxy and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe those are just like comfort picks for people, or like, I don't know what to play, it's my first time, and then I'll just copy this deck and roll with it, which is a fine way to learn and get involved.
It can also be people that just don't have Firestorm yet.
Yeah.
True.
So like they didn't order online, they don't have a locals nearby. So it's just like cards that they own from previous formats. So I think that that's fine too.
Yeah, that's very valid. I think I saw in the stream that Trish did yesterday that Swole said he only had 2 Champ Galaxies.
Yeah,
So,
only 2.
like, I only have 1 Champ Exaltus somehow, and I've opened, like, I don't know, a case. I don't know how.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I only have 1 Champ Exaltus, and I've opened between, 4 of each starter deck and, like, at least five or 6 boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, the hollow hit rates have been all over the place this set. I had a friend who like messaged me. He's like, "Yo, can you go over to the locals right now? I need 1 more Champ Exaltus." I opened 4 booster boxes and 4 starter decks and only pulled 1.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's brutal. I think definitely something changed in like terms of hollow distribution.
Dude, just get the starter decks. Like, I got my starter decks today, and I got a chance to pull a Reverse Stellar Hermes Trickery, and
that's
okay.
cool.
Yeah, these are cracked.
I would
Yeah,
say I don't know if
full-out
anybody
Terracity.
else. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but like, are the reverse stellar pull rates up? Like, I feel like
Oh, yeah.
everybody's
Oh,
pulling up.
100%.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
Yeah.
awesome. Like, it's so cool.
I think the stellar pull rates are just crazy. I had like the little like infographic or like I did a little post on my Twitter. I opened like 20 starter decks in total, and like throughout it I pulled 3 serialized, 4 reverse stellars, and 2 full arts, and just a bunch of hollows, and then a bunch of staples with all those starter decks combined.
Incredible.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. These products are crazy, and I think it's a great time for people to hop in and just start collecting or just start building decks in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the hollow rate feels off, but yeah, I've definitely noticed more reverses.
They're like,
I
"You
mean,
guys can't get
that's
your
fine because
rare
like what,
hollows."
like Champ Exaltus is what, maybe $3. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
last I checked, something like
It'll
that.
keep
So
going down too.
yeah, as more people rip and we get further along, and
I've also
everyone gets
noticed
surprising.
that like one of the hollow pull rates, they feel like a tad bit like in a pattern, because whenever I pull one, the Nixamaras, the other one's always going to follow. I had one starter deck, my hollows were just both the Nixamaras like back to back.
I think that about the divines,
Oh,
the hollow
yeah.
divines.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you get one, okay, well at least 3 more of my hollows in this box are the other
Yep.
divines, which is good. It's kind of needed. Like Zeus is needed to be in circulation, but like also it feels like Zeus kind of fell off with this event. Now that Elichic's gone, it's not so splashable into a lot of these decks.
Crazy. I wonder why. I wonder why. Just play Plucky, bro, at this point. If you're that desperate, that down bad, bro, just go play Plucky.
Don't play that card, please.
If you're playing Plucky and you're
Plucky's
not
the
playing
goat. I
Champion
love
Plucky.
Plucky.
If you're not
love
playing
Plucky
Champ
at this
Plucky
point.
instead of normal Plucky, then
Play Champ Plucky. That card's
or as
broken.
Dimax called it, Ploopsy.
Look, man, I don't know. After that showcase, after Dimex list, I am a hard believer in the Champ Apollo stuff. Like, I don't
yeah,
know,
that deck
bro.
was
I'm
crazy.
hard. I kind of want to see more of that, personally.
That deck's insane. We've been testing that list for a bit. the amount of times I saw 7-10 Soul Bell. I don't want to talk about it. It's horrifying.
Oh, that's scary. So, looking at the rest of the premiere, what do you think that could have performed better didn't do so? Like, what do you feel is missing? I know you don't want to talk about the bear sauce, and that is the best deck by far, in your opinion. But what else that's like commonly known that people have play tested that did not perform that you thought deserved to do so?
Yeah, I mean, you said it already, bears. For sure. I'm trying to think if there's like anything else. I was expecting Nixamera to top. It was close. There was a lot of Nixamera in like the X2 bubble.
Yeah.
On like really, really solid lists. There were some really cool lists too. Like there was a Solar Nixamera list, which I thought was really, really interesting. I think Nixamera was one. I honestly thought too that Pantera was going to top and didn't. Just a really solid rogue pick always, just because of how horrifying that card is in general. So that, and then also Like a Void. I thought I would have saw a lot more Like a Void in Top Cut than what we did, and instead it got replaced by Frost.
Yeah, the amount of Frost was honestly like Shuret's deck is mostly Frost, and then Soren's list is mostly Frost, like, and then of course you know you're on the evil DL Diablo deck.
Well, yeah, of course, but like,
but go ahead.
I don't know. Like Frost, I think was in general like a really good pick for this event because of Cryovern dealing with Like a Void stuff. I just didn't think it was going to do as well as it did, to the point that it pushed Like a Void out of Top Cut for the most part. I think there were 3 decks that had Like a Void in Top Cut. So I'd be curious to see Like a Void's representation in top 16. Like if we lowered it down a little bit, like how close was it to being a very Like a Void dominated top 8?
Let's see. One,
if just like a couple of things were different.
3, 4. Four more had at least 7 Lunar Spirits in their decks, and clicking into them real quick, yeah, I do see Like a Void on those. So it was close. It was definitely close.
Almost 50% representation from Like a Void. And that's close to where I think it was going to be. I think it's just going to keep going up over time, too. Many non-believers in the Like a Void that will now have seen it over the course of this past weekend that will now try it out.
Just that amount of bodies in the board that fast, not a lot of decks can deal with it. Like, so many decks are just restricted to just casting 1 Elestral per turn, and then like, all right, cool, I hope I have some removal.
Yep.
And then, I mean, at least like Spectaris is good enough in general that like it can kind of out the Like a Void, since there's so many suppressed Elestrals on the board. So, you know, the presence of Spectaris being one of the more played cards also kind of like pushes Like a Void back a little bit too.
Yeah. I think people also forget that like we were doing Like a Void just as like a 6/2 before. You also don't have to play the Werepups. Like, you don't have to cast those extra bodies. If you're worried about Spectaris, you don't need to play into it. If you're worried about Necrolith, 1 pup is fine. If you're worried about the pigs, again, don't do it at all. Like, they can't deal with a Like a Void on its own. Don't give them the pig food.
Don't take the pigs to the slaughter.
But like, you get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
There's so much nuance that I think still needs to be discovered with that card. And as players get better with Like a Void, they'll win more games with it and not get punished by it as much also. So, yeah.
I feel like the biggest fraud overall in the tournament was like the spider hype. Like a Void could definitely perform, but I think spiders are just like missing something.
Nah, where was the Javalantis stuff? I was expecting a lot of Javalantis. People,
I got cooked at locals by Javalantis the one day. I was so tilted.
And I was like, where's the Tsunami Javalantis shenanigan day? And I was like, never saw one. I was like, that's crazy.
Where Majesty?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Majesty. No one wanted to play the Floodgate, and it was like, okay.
I was
Yeah.
venting my frustration of the lack of Antitan. I really thought that deck was gonna perform. No one brought it. There was like 2 like Antitan players, and I think one of them like brought the list that like I cooked up with like the Artemis list. The other was just Bow on Hermes with an Antitan in the sideboard, which was awesome. I think
So
that's
cool.
awesome. But I think personally, and a lot of people might disagree, I think Antitan is such a sleeper pick right now. Especially just, I thought it was going to be huge because the amount of Leica Void that was played, especially over Poison Nectar, I thought that was also going to carry over because it's just, and especially all the spider hype going on, Antitan just kind of feeds off Leica Void, feeds off spiders. So I was hoping that deck did more.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't play. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I didn't play.
You're
No.
the strongest soldier for the Antitan army.
So, funnily enough, I think that Antitan should be on everybody's radar. Like, that deck is horrifying. As an Antitan enjoyer myself, it was also on my list of decks to bring to the event. So, it is definitely a deck that if Spiders and Like a Void rise in popularity, it will just be like the rogue anti-meta threat that you just have to worry about. And it still gets to play Equilinx. Broken card.
Yep.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah, I don't know. I would definitely keep an eye out for Antitan on the rise for the next few tournaments coming up.
So, moving forward into the next few events, where do you think the immediate shift is?
That's a really good question. Based off of this tournament data, I think that pig stonks are way through the roof. I think a lot more people, even though it had like 11% popularity or like close to that, I think it will still continue to go up, even though it didn't have great conversion. I also think that Like a Void will be more prevalent than it was before, just because people are going to believe in the card a lot more. Dracking, I think, is going to be up there. We haven't talked about that. That went undefeated in Swiss from Spicy.
Yeah.
And horrifying strategy to pair alongside the Like a Void stuff. So I would definitely keep an eye out for Dracking. Obviously, Blizz is going to be, unfortunately, everywhere, so be prepared for it. It's not going to have the same result as it did for this first round. Again, I will say that again. It will not be as good as it was for this tournament. I promise you. But
Can you say that louder for the people in the back?
it's not going to be good. It's not good.
Too many people will like pick it up and just kind of like go unga bunga and like not know when to pace themselves.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first issue that I see with a lot of players doing it. They're just like, all right, cool. Oh, if I can mill, I mill. If I can mill, I mill. And then it's just like, oops, all runes.
So, funnily enough, for all the Blizz people that are going to pick the deck up again, wait till the last possible second to mill. Like, don't just mill your deck, please. Like, this deck is a lot more nuanced to play than it used to be. And it's holding off on your mills as long as humanly possible. And then just
especially
exploding.
playing less copies of Blizz. Like, if you hit that too soon, okay, and you also hit your one of Rise, it's just like, all right, well, I better hope that Morlith and Cedar Soar and Boreas can carry me.
Funnily enough, every time I activated Rise, I lost. So that's a fun stat.
Okay.
So
Just the spirit investment, I assume, is probably what
It's a
ended
lot.
up doing it in.
when you're not rising back Blizz, it's not good.
Yeah.
Just unban it, bro. Bring it back to 3.
Yeah, I think it's
Unjustly.
fine actually. Yeah, we can have Rise to 3 again.
Yep,
Celestial Turbo.
go ahead
Exactly.
and bump
Bring it back,
bump
Celestial
Belichick back
Turbo.
to 3, and go ahead and set Links back to 3, and go ahead and just we have a
agree
third
with that one.
spec.
EQ to
have
3, Laurels to 3.
We have a third Spectaris already. I mean, everything else deserves to go to 3. You mentioned Spicy's Dracking list.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's poised to do so well?
Specifically because of the Like a Void engine. Not only is it a really strong Ascension tool to capitalize off of your extra werepuffs that you have, but it's also a very huge punish to Like Avoid boards if you're able to establish it while a Like Avoid is up and you haven't done it yet. So you go like Avoid, steal their Draking, steal their Like Avoid, take their Like Avoid, cast it, double Lunar, summon 2 more pups, swing for 4 more. It very, very strong play.
Oh, I hate that.
Yep.
Oh,
I hate it too.
Oh.
All right.
I think the only reason
that Draking enjoyers.
right. I think I played Spicy in top 4, and they were just having an issue dealing with the stat line because 9 is bigger than 7. And there wasn't like a great way for that deck to deal with really large threats, which caused some issues in top 4, especially with like the Cedar Swords and whatnot. So I would definitely still keep that deck on your radar. It is a huge threat. It is one of the best decks of the format. That was just kind of a sleeper until it showed up.
Okay. Any other immediate standouts?
Obviously, Fire Artifact deck's crazy. So I think
there was a lot of
just,
variance in the lists that performed.
Yeah, the build for Fire Artifact is definitely not solidified yet. There's still a lot of experimentation. I think once the list is solidified, it's gonna be horrifying. Once people start playing Like Avoid in their Fire Artifact decks, then we're which you should play Like Avoid in your Fire Artifact deck. Like Avoid's a Fire Nexus bank.
This whole episode is just becoming like, forget about Blizz. Let's just get Like Avoid banned as fast as possible.
It is the boogeyman of the format. Like, it is a very crazy card, and if you aren't equipped to deal with it, like, it's just going to run you over.
It just snowballs.
Yeah.
So you're saying Like Avoid's going back on the thumbnail?
Yeah, probably. Different Like Avoid.
Always.
Too many Like Avoids.
Not enough Like Avoids.
More
Well,
Like
I know
Avoid.
you had some additional questions and topics too.
It's kind of really just about Antine. That was my huge thing. It's just the lack of Antine. I want to get your thoughts. So my current idea is playing the Artemis suppress build.
Okay.
It's under the mindset of if I have Artemis in hand and I have Arbud in hand, and if Hurricane ends up showing up and they drop back row, dropping Hurricane, I'm throwing out Arbud, I'm suppressing something on the field, and I'm going Antine instantly. Is Artemis up to the hype? Or should we all the Antine players, are we just dropping that card? Not even talking about New Moon either. I don't like New Moon.
I hate to break it to you, I don't think that the Artemis line is the way to go.
Oh.
I'm sorry. No, I think the build that I've had the most success with in Titan is still like the Earth Lunar deck. Very similar list to what I played when I went undefeated with it that one tournament. With a few changes, I think like the Spectrus count is up, plays new Like Avoid, plays more pups. So it's not in like the 2-1 ratio that it was before. But obviously 3 vis too. So there's a few concessions here and there for like deck space, but ultimately that's still the deck that I've found that gets to play End Titan the best, even though it doesn't guarantee that End Titan comes out every game. So unfortunately, I think the best is how it's gonna work for the time being.
Yeah.
Is the new spec worth playing in there still?
Side deck.
Or no?
Side deck.
For the Like Avoid.
Yep.
Okay.
You need something going second to crack the Like Avoid board, and Ardbud turns into like a whole board wipe. It's so crazy.
Hurricane Ardbud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
We're still on Argo with that list, right?
Oh yeah.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah. Protect the Ard buddy for as long as possible.
Let's go. I know what Log's doing immediately after we're done. Back to the drawing board.
In the lab.
Yep.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, like, I watched your End Titan Direct, so I one of your lists was very close, I think.
Ooh.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Is it the Hermes list?
No,
that list was bad.
I can't remember which one it was, but one of them was very close.
Yeah, one of them was when I was talking about Moonrise. It was literally just your top 8 list that I just talking about that in Moonrise. I was kind of like going through seeing what people built. I saw someone like make a Hermes build. I was like, yeah, let's check this out. They were on like 26 Elestrals. I was like, whoa.
We're going wombo combo. That's awesome.
I had to like lower that down a bit. I was playing the Hestia build today in Clash because they decided to make new Spectaris not an insect. So it just didn't work.
Wait,
along with Arachne's Lair.
Yeah, it doesn't have the classifications.
Oops.
So I was just playing Hestia Torchin into Arbud and Titan.
Okay. Very funny. Very funny.
Yeah, and it worked. It did work. It was kind of insane. But yeah, no, I definitely want to cook more with Antine. I think there's just so much potential still.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best decks of the format.
Okay, I'm tapped on my questions. Keebs, do you have anything?
I don't know. Play Hermes best deck. Go play Solar also best deck. That's
Is
all
there
these are
actually
true.
like a viable Hermes strategy that like could perform?
I mean, I personally think there, at least the Hermes decks I've been practicing with, I like throw in Toxiri in there and kind of like play Protect the President with it, because like it gets the -2 on suppression. So it's like I can like throw a Spectaris out there and it's like, okay, now I'm like a 7 just because of my Toxiri effect and stuff. Or like Verituka, like I'll swing and now my Verituka is a 5 essentially. So it's like it's boosts stats and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. That's what I've been experimenting with.
No, that's cool. I like that. I think the Hermes deck, personally, one of my favorite decks of the format is a Hermes deck. It's the Hermes carry-off deck with trickery.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like the whole idea is that like you like Hermes, dump a carry-on, bring it back, ascend it to carry-off, steal your opponent's Elestral, and then trickery your opponent's Elestral. So then like you kill it, revive one of your guys for basically free and swing for like a ton of damage. Like you can swing for like 6 to 8 in like a turn.
Oh,
It's so cool. It's so cool. Or like there's some like really funny interactions too with it where you like carry off, steal your opponent's Calfmel, pop it with trickery, you get the heal.
Nice.
oh my god!
Right?
Yeah.
Nice. And you're actually already playing the Lunar
It's so
anyway.
cool. It's so
that's
cool.
actually cool. Hermes
The problem
trickery
is
is, I
it's just
think,
like so expensive and like trickery is hard to
Yeah.
find.
yeah. I mean, just
I can see that with also like Hydrakes in there too, and like
You could.
just full on landmines.
So, but yeah, that's my favorite Hermes deck right now. It's a really cool card.
Awesome. Well, I think we're good to wrap her up. So at this point, the floor is yours. Self-plugs, of course. Everyone already knows where to find you on the Notch channel, but anything else you want to promote and plug, take it away.
That's pretty much it. Just Subdelia Astronauts. I know we haven't been posting a ton of stuff recently, but deck profiles are coming, including the Blizstrix profile if you want like an in-depth discussion where I think the deck is going to have to go to stay competitive in the future. All that good stuff will be up either by the time that this video goes up or like a couple days afterwards. So
this will be live instantly.
Oh, let's go! Awesome.
Yeah, we're
then it will
machines.
go up in a couple days.
That's all right. We'll hold you accountable if not.
Cool. I'm literally recording it right after this.
Oh, perfect.
There you go.
But yeah, so stay tuned for the Blizz profile, and thank you all for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Of course, if you guys are watching this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate the little bit of growth the channel has had, and the more people that want to make Elestrals content, the better, because we need more. We just need more. I feel like there's not enough.
Yeah.
I'm turning into Tyrone Biggins. Y'all got any more of that Elestrals content over here?
I need more podcasts.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right. Log, anything you want to say?
Nothing on my end.
Keebs?
Yeah. Subscribe, do all that jazz.
All right, you got it. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Peace.